How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and welcome back to another video of myself, OLT TV. In this one, we are going to have another episode of the 5 Things I Love and Hate series, and we're going to be starting off with the 5 things I hate in this one, and that is all going to be about this brand new 71 plate Mini Cooper I've had for the last few days. As you can see, I'm nowhere near London. I'm in a really rogue place. Can't tell you where I am, but we are doing a video out here. I've had this car up and down the motorway through the country roads, and I can tell you 5 things that I do hate about this Mini Cooper. I was expecting quite a lot from it, to be fair, but it has actually disappointed us, unfortunately. So I'm going to give you the 5 things that I haven't liked while using this car. So let's get into those. I'll walk you through them and I'll let you know everything I disliked about this car and things that do let it down for me, unfortunately. Stepping inside the vehicle then, and apologies for this car being a little bit dirty. As I've just said, as you can see, there is a bit of dirt on this car. I've been on country roads, I've been in the middle of nowhere. The weather here in England is awful, so there is a bit of muck in the car, but please try and ignore that. And we will get into the first thing that I hate about this car. And if we start this up, the first thing that I don't like about this car is actually the instrument cluster behind the steering wheel. Obviously you can see my reflection in it, so I'll try and get that away. The first thing that I didn't like was just, it's not symmetrical, which annoys us, to be fair, how it's just one big dial with this semicircle dial, and then the petrol gauge on the right hand side. I wasn't a big fan of that, but the thing that annoys about it the most is this petrol gauge. So why this isn't another semicircle here, I don't know, because you could fit a lot more instrument dials on and a lot more display on it if it was a bit like this one. You can see obviously the rev counter, but it's got some options to put things there. If you could do that with this side, it would be much better, because I have no idea how much fuel this car has. Well, as you can see, obviously it's got that much fuel, a quarter of a tank, but how much is a quarter of a tank in a Mini Cooper unless you're driving this all the time and you kind of work out what the miles per gallon and stuff is in this one? Obviously I don't know that, so that isn't the best. You don't know how much fuel you've got left in the car in terms of mileage, and I think that's really something that a modern car should have. If I was going to add to that, I would say the trip computer, as you can see on the inside here, doesn't give you that much info at all. So you get the time, the temperature, your drive and park, and that's about it, as well as the mileage you've done, but that is all you get. So the first thing here is not being able to see how much fuel you've got left in the car. That really does annoy us with the first thing about this Mini Cooper. Moving from the dials to the center console then, we'll get that everything out the window. It is actually this sort of central area here. I'm not too big a fan at all of how this actually is laid out. As you can see, the middle is all right, that's fine, this is all perfectly fine, we'll not get into that. It's actually this area here. I have an iPhone 13 Pro Max, pretty big phone, doesn't fit in this space whatsoever. If it does fit in, it's got to be sideways or upright, and it bangs around, doesn't sit still at all, and there's definitely nowhere you can put it here. So this is going to be the second and the third thing I don't like about this car, because you've got nowhere to plug your phone, you've only got one USB, and yes, you have an old school cigarette lighter by the looks of it. You only have one USB, so that's no good if you have your phone on charge and the person next to you also wants to have their phone on charge. And the third thing then is going to be this just whole center console as a whole. Yes, it's good that you have the 2 cup holders here with a cup holder at the back. I don't mind this sort of gear stick for an automatic. It's just this area, like, this just really isn't very good. You can't put anything there. You can't even put like a pound coin or anything here, because it always, as you turn in corners, slips over and goes wide. So this is a really, really pretty useless center console. You don't even have a storage bin or anywhere to rest your arm. If you're resting your arm, you've kind of got to rest it against the air on this seat, and it's just really not a good comfortable driving position, unfortunately. So that is going to be this will be the second, nowhere to put your phone, nowhere to store anything. And your third is going to be the driving position for the driver, maybe for the passenger as well. If the passenger wants to rest his arm, he's only got that one side, he doesn't have anywhere to rest his arm on this side. So yeah, driving position and storage is the second and third thing I've hated about this Mini Cooper. Coming in then as the 5th and final thing that I haven't enjoyed about this car is actually the visibility. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show you this, but if you look at this front window, on the camera it looks like really stretched out and long. It is. It's definitely a weird position to get used to, and it comes down to just the visibility out of this car not being the best. I know it's a Mini, I know it's small, But this front windscreen, I feel like it's not like tall enough, if you could say that. Like the vertical aspect of it isn't tall enough, and it is curved towards you. And the curve on it makes it rather quite difficult to see out of the front at times. As weird as that sounds, it's so difficult to get used to. I'm not a tall person entirely. I'm 6 foot tall, and I feel like I'm looking up here more than anything, and I'm not getting the best of views, which is weird because the side windows are absolutely huge, and to be fair, the back window's pretty big as well. But looking out the front of the car, and also the rear view mirror, if I can get a decent shot of that, the rear view mirror for me wasn't the best. As you can see, you've got the two headrests here. The two headrests cause a bit of a nuisance when you're looking out the back window. And again, the shape of the back window and the size of it isn't fantastic, but it's mainly the front window. Wing mirrors, lovely. Other than that, because you can see plenty out of these, and these side windows are absolutely massive. You've got like pretty much the same size front windscreen as you do side window. I'm gonna hop out actually and do a walk around and see if you can see any better what I might mean from the front of the car. So as you can see, you can already see how curved that is at the front, unlike some other cars. But yeah, the front window just isn't too big at all, and I think it makes it really difficult observation wise and visibility wise out of this car. So other than that, like, look at the size of that side profile window from the outside as well. Again, rear back window massive, and you've got this sloped sort of rear window with the spoiler, and the spoiler does cause a little, you can see the spoiler a little bit. You can see the windscreen wiper quite a lot as well. So I just think the visibility from the front and back isn't too fantastic whatsoever in this. I was disappointed with that. I thought it looks like it's a lot of glass, but honestly you can't see much out of the front and back. So that is going to be the fifth and final thing that I haven't liked about this car. Just before I round this one up then, ladies and gentlemen, I have thought of one more thing that I absolutely hate about this car. It might not be a big deal to a lot of you, but it was a little bit of a big deal to me driving in London. I know it's a small car, but this car, as you can see if you come forward, does not have any parking sensors on the front. Nothing at all, no little circles to indicate a sensor. Come along to the sides, as you'll see, nothing on the sides to indicate a parking sensor. And then we get to the back of the car, and again, not a single parking sensor on the back of this car. I thought it might have a reversing camera underneath the Mini, or the Mini sign might move, but no, the Mini sign does not move whatsoever, and there's no reversing camera. So that might be the sixth thing that really isn't good about this car. There's no parking camera, there's no parking sensors, so parking is all about you. And as I mentioned, that visibility is not great. It makes that quite difficult. So I want to throw one last thing in for you. Look at the size of that boot. It's quite deep, yes, but not very wide, and not very the depth that way. So width and lengthwise isn't very big, but in terms of being deep, it is quite deep. It's not the shallow boot. So that is another thing. It's a Mini, I get that. People will be like, oh, it's a Mini, it's meant to be small, but a little bit of a bigger boot would have been nice. But I think when you get in a car like this, you're spending all the money, because to be honest, Minis aren't cheap, also made by BMW as well, so they're not cheap to run and repair. You're spending 20 odd grand on a brand new Mini Cooper. You're expecting parking sensors as standard, to be honest, and overall the general kit on this car just isn't fantastic whatsoever. So I've actually done 7 things I haven't enjoyed about this car, but those are them, and I hope you enjoy this video. Cheers for watching. Drop a like, comment, let me know what you think of the brand new Mini Coopers. If you have a different opinion, let us know down below. I always love a bit of constructive criticism and debate. Yeah, so if you could drop a follow, drop a like, drop a subscription, whatever you call them these days, that'd be much appreciated, and I'll catch you all in another one. Be tuned in for the 5 things I love about this car, because surprisingly I don't hate it entirely. There's a few things I do love, but catch you in another one, guys. Cheers for watching. See you soon.